there. I thought it was going to go through his head.
Good evening, everyone. It's time to call to, it's 6:01. I am late. It's time to call to order this meeting of the Gallatin City Council for March 6, 2018. And we're going to begin this meeting as we do each meeting with an invocation and a pledge of allegiance. John Alexander is going to lead us in our prayer, and Councilwoman Love is going to lead us in the pledge. If you will stand with me, please.
Let every heart pray. Eternal gracious God, once again we come with thanksgiving in our hearts. We thank you for this beautiful weather. We thank you for this wonderful city. We pray, oh God, that Thou will be in the midst of this meeting tonight, and let everything we say, everything we do, be pleasing in your sight. In the mighty and precious name of Jesus, we do pray, and every heart said, Amen.
Place the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we have someone sitting in for Ms. Kittrell tonight. For those of you who don't know her, this is Regina Price, and she is the deputy recorder in Ms. Kittrell's office, and she is going to call the roll for us.
Vice Mayor Overton.
Present.
Councilman Alexander.
Present.
Councilman Camp.
Present.
Councilman Fennell.
Here.
Councilman Hayes.
Present.
Councilwoman Love. Here. Councilman Mayberry.
Here.
We now have a quorum.
Thank you so much, Ms. Price. We do have no minutes this evening, so we will not vote on those. Next item is the public recognition on agenda-related items. This is the time of the meeting where if someone has something that's on this evening's agenda, they may come forward and speak to it. There's also a period of time at the end of the meeting where you can speak about items that are not on the agenda. And I want to remind everyone that tonight we do have a public hearing. It's related to the Tompkins Farm. So if you are here to speak about that, you should do that during that public hearing. So right now, public recognition is open on agenda-related items. You may come forward at this time, ask that you introduce yourself, and give us your address. I see no one jumping up indicating that there comes someone. Come ahead. Okay. And this is for agenda-related items, if it's on the agenda this evening. Okay, then it should be at the end of the meeting if it's not on the agenda. And it's not going to be a long meeting, I don't think, so you won't have to wait long. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak about anything that's on this evening's agenda? Seeing no one, I will declare public recognition on agenda-related items closed. At this time, we'll have mayor's comments, and I get to begin with a very special presentation. So I'm going to ask that the Calhoun family and Mr. Marcus Brewer join me at the podium, please. If you like. I didn't get to meet you before the meeting. I can begin here. You all, I have the pleasure this evening of introducing you to a dear family. This is the Calhoun family. This is Oliver's the youngest, and Lonnie and Olivia, and this is Robert and Amy Calhoun. I got it. And this is Marcus Brewer. And to tell you briefly, the reason that they are all here this evening is there was an incident with their youngest child back on January 11th, and scared to death mama screamed for help, and this young man came to the rescue, and he actually saved the baby's life. And not a retired, but a former volunteer firefighter, he was able to clear his airway and get him breathing and saved his life. And so she had reached out via the newspaper to seek some recognition that is well deserved, and so we're delighted to have that opportunity to give that tonight. So I'm going to read this brief proclamation. It says, whereas on January 11, 2018, Marcus Brewer, a former volunteer firefighter, performed CPR on 7-week-old Oliver Calhoun and saved his life, and whereas he displayed quick thinking during a stressful situation, and whereas the City of Gallatin wishes to recognize Marcus Brewer for his act of courage and heroism, and now therefore I, Paige Brown, Mayor of the City of Gallatin, do hereby present this key to the city to honor Marcus Brewer for his selfless act in saving Oliver Calhoun. in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the official seal of the City of Gallatin the 6th day of March 2018. So let's all show our appreciation for Mr. Brewer's bravery, courageousness, and selfless act. Let's get one with the whole family. Can we swing that, do you think? Another mayor's comments, I am sad to share with this council, the department heads, and the community of Gallatin that Goodlettsville Mayor John Coombs passed away today. And I would say that he was always a very kind man, certainly a gentleman, always a pleasure to work with, and I know he will be missed. And so I know that his family and his friends and his city would appreciate your thoughts and prayers. On events coming up in the coming weeks, you have several. Mr. Chuck Stewart is not with us tonight. I let him not come to the meeting because it's his birthday. Coming up on the 10th of March is the Gallatin Shamrock Run. The Irish Festival is also on that day out at Bledsoe Fort. This is a new event. Coming up on the 15th, which is a Thursday, the Gallatin Shalom Zone's Tribute Dinner is happening that evening. On the 19th, which is a Monday, is All Access's annual Easter egg hunt in Gallatin. On the 23rd, we have two special birthdays. Councilwoman Love's birthday and Councilman Camp's birthday. And I must mention the chili cook-off at Morningside on the 16th. It has a St. Patty's Day theme. It is a fundraiser for the Sumner County Food Bank and actively spearheaded by Mr. Homer Bradley. It's from 11 to 1 on that day. $5, all you can sample chili. I think that is all on your mayor's comments. We will move on to the regular
Mayor,
agenda.
did you say whose birthday was tomorrow?
Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, I got
Happy
one.
birthday, Mayor.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I've got one of those, but like I said to somebody earlier today, I've had 50 of them. It's really not a big deal. So, thank you, though. Thank you, Vice Mayor Overton. Moving on to the regular agenda, the first item this evening is a public hearing. It's on ordinance number 01802-13, and for that, Councilwoman Love is recognized.
Thank you, Paige. This is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 12.24 plus or minus acre portion of a parcel from A Agriculture Residential District to MRO Multiple Residential and Office District, approving a preliminary master development plan for Tompkins Farm subdivision located east of Old Scottsville Pike and west of Airport Road, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is public hearing.
So public hearing is now open. If you wish to speak to this, please come forward at this time. Okay, I see no one indicating they wish to speak, so I will declare public hearing on ordinance 01802-13 closed. Item number 2 is first reading on ordinance number 01803-15, and Councilman Camp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $1,886,500 for an ITS signal grant. So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Camp, second by Vice Mayor Overton. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, we need to let the public know that this is a totally 100% refund money from the federal government.
We will be fully reimbursed for it, and we are grateful for that, and the citizens of Gallatin are going to be grateful for it too, because it's going to greatly improve our traffic flow. We are confident. Any further discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance number 01803-15. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 3 is first reading on ordinance number 01803-16. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance appropriating $1,000 from donation received to a public relations account, and I so move.
And this is for the police department, I believe. Second. Motion by Councilman Alexander, second by Councilman Fennell. Is there any discussion? This is first reading on ordinance number 01803-16. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. And that does conclude, passes unanimously, and that does conclude our regular agenda. I know that those of you who are regulars in the audience are quite surprised by that. But that moves us now to other business, so any other business from this council may be brought forward at this time. Everyone's looking down, so I guess no one has anything. And now we will open the floor for public recognition on non-agenda related items. Again, this is the time of the meeting that you may come forward and address items that aren't on the agenda. We ask that you introduce yourself, give us your address, please. You need to come to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Sandra Jenkins. I live at 740 Mall Street here in Gallatin, Tennessee. And I want to present, I'm having an issue with boundaries on my property. I have an original stake there in my drive, and some survey, the lady, my neighbor, she had her property surveyed. We had an issue on boundary lines, and so she had it surveyed, and they came over and they moved my stake over 2 feet, and that's gonna make me infringe on the next person's property. And I'm not understanding how they can come and move, well, my stake is still there, and move me over 2 feet, almost 2 feet.
Okay,
Off of my property.
I mean, you're welcome to continue your comment, but I don't think it's something that the city did.
No. What has happened is the city is not recognizing my, I've came and, you know, had tried to reach out and get some help, you know, with this matter. I don't know anywhere else to go. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm trying to see, handle this, you know, the best way I know how. And I'm not being able to find someone that can come out and survey that property, that street.
Well, I mean,
on both sides, or
you're of course welcome to be here, but I think what you have is more of a private matter, because I think when you have a survey that's in conflict with the neighbors, that you're probably going to have your own property surveyed and then reconcile with your neighbor. That's not, our city attorney may have something further to say to that.
Well, me and my neighbor, you know, we, I don't really have an issue with my neighbor. I have an issue with the fact that my stake is my property line, and someone's coming along telling me that my stake can be moved over 2 feet.
Yeah.
So
again, I have
that's
just
the
very
problem
little.
I'm having right now.
I have very little exposure to this, but I think the situation was, it's not based on where the stakes are, it's based on the survey of the property. So, again, it's going to be an issue between you and your neighbor, and you probably, I mean, the attorney offer better, I mean, I shouldn't be offering advice most likely.
No, I agree with what the mayor's saying. That's a civil issue between you and your neighbor, and you would need to get a survey of your property done. And
Okay.
the city doesn't do surveys for private individuals.
Okay, well, see, this is the problem. I've had someone to come to survey. They don't want to go against the man that surveyed her property. And they have moved her over and moved me over 2 feet from my original stake in my drive.
The city didn't do it, right?
No, Mr. I'm not, let me see what his name is that surveyed her property.
While Ms. Jinx is looking for her paper, I did go out there and look at that, and they do have an original stake right down beside the telephone pole. But since the new
Stephen Bridges, Jr. And no one wants to go against what he has said, his work, because they're afraid of being sued. Well, I have a big problem with that, because I have a stake on my property already there, and no one is. If I take up that stake that they have placed there, I heard that I can be arrested. So how is they gonna come and move my original stake? I have a problem with that. I think
I
that.
don't know anything about you being arrested, but you know, this is a boundary dispute between you and your neighbor, and you would have to get a survey of your property done. We have no way of knowing if the stake that was in your yard was original. You know, I have no way of knowing, and no one here at the city has a way of knowing, and we don't do surveys for private individuals.
Okay, so, you know, well, you know, I'm kind of, well, where do I get help at with this matter? You know, I don't understand that, you know.
Well, ma'am, you would have to get hire a surveyor, or if you need legal counsel, you can, go to, a legal aid society. Maybe someone there might be able to help you. Sounds like you'll have a property dispute that may have to go to court to get determined where the actual boundary line is. That's not something that we do in the city. So, you either need to contact a surveyor and get a survey done, or maybe go to legal aid and see if there's an attorney there that can help you.
I still don't understand why, you know, they're not recognizing the original stake that was down. I have, you know, I don't understand that.
The city doesn't recognize stakes, we recognize surveys.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Andy Leith, Greenlee Design. Ms. Jenkins did contact my office to help her out a little bit. I'm not a surveyor, but I hire a lot of them. There was an old boundary that's wrong. It's done 2009, so it's too late. Steve come in, did a boundary for the lot right beside it. But the problem is they both did bank surveys, not legal binding boundary surveys. What Ms. Jenkins is really here asking you, the way Steve defined this lot, he come off the right-of-way of, what's that street to the east? He come off the right-of-way of Center Street. So really what Ms. Jenkins is disputing is the city's right-of-way. Where does it start at on Center Street? That's really what she's asking for some help for definition right here tonight, is would the city be willing to define their right-of-way on Center Street? And then from there, it sets the boundary for every lot over there.
Well, I would guess we'd have to research that. I doubt we could get that answer right now.
It's a very old subdivision. It's in Plat Book 1, and which leads to a big problem. But by defining the right-of-way, it would define the rest of the boundaries of that block, and that's really what she's asking for here tonight. Would the city be willing to define that right-of-way? The original pins, I don't know. Steve is a reputable surveyor. Nobody's disputing that. But this was just a bank survey, really, not necessarily a boundary. And I've talked to Steve. I had a surveyor go out there, look at it. He told me, he said, Steve, I'm not going to dispute him. You'd have to, almost to get it exactly right, we'd have to survey the entire subdivision again. There's very little markers in that neighborhood, and it'd be very costly. Even if we were going to be generous and charitable, even at a discounted rate, would be extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. I think Steve said even the time that he had in on it was upwards of $1,500, $2,000, and that's reasonable. Mm-hmm. But that's what really Ms. Jenkins is asking for your help tonight, is defining that right away on Center Street would really set the rest of it up. But it could get into a sticky situation, just to forewarn you.
We had that same similar issue up on Anthony Street. There was a vacant lot there, and they built a house there. So they was moving everybody's property line down for whatever reason. I don't know. Is that legal? How can it be?
That's not a city issue. I mean, that's not something. The movement of boundary lines and property lines, it's not something that we as a city are going to. We're not going to get into that business. We're going to be doing it all over the city. That has to go to court. That's something that will have to go to court. If there's a boundary line dispute, that's something that has to go to court and be litigated. The court would have to decide that.
Okay, even if the city have to identify their property marking?
I don't understand why we're identifying our property marking.
Well, I mean, before you can...
I don't know enough about this case. This is
okay.
The first I've heard of it, so I don't know enough about it. But I just know, as a general rule, we are not going to get involved in boundary disputes between neighbors. That's not what we do as a city. Now, if there's an issue with our right-of-way, I think that engineering and my office can sit down and talk to someone if it's truly a right-of-way issue. But that's not what's been described.
Well, they use the right-of-way as their starting point. Is really what it boils down to. So if the right-of-way is not in the right place,
and then
the boundary line's not in the right
had a
Right.
deed that described the width of the property, and they measured it from the right of way. I can
And
see
you
how
just
that
roll
would play
down-
into it.
Roll down the hill.
So that's really the reason why she's here tonight, is because the starting point for Steve's survey was not in the lot, it was the right of way of Center Street.
Well, let us see what we can find on the Center Street right of way. Anybody, who's here from engineering tonight? Right, Nick? And I guess follow up with the attorney's office to set a meeting to see if there is something with our right of way we can communicate.
Okay.
If that would resolve.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms.
Thank you,
Jenkins.
Ms. Jenkins. Anyone else wishing to speak under public recognition on non-agenda related items this evening? Okay, seeing no one, I will entertain a motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to
Second.
adjourn by Vice Mayor Overton, second by Councilwoman Love. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say no. Everyone have a lovely evening. Drive safe going home. We look forward to seeing you back. Good night.
These are some of them that he bought